Never argue with an idiot. They will drag you down to their level and beat you with experience. What's your best real-life example of this? My mom's entire argument tactic was to interrupt the other person as soon as they opened their mouths. It didn't matter if you were calm and reasonable and respectful. The moment sound came out of you, she would come in with greater volume. She usually didn't have much to say, so she would literally repeat herself just to interrupt you. Even if you paused and let her speak, if she was out of stuff to say, she would wait quietly until you try to talk again, then interrupt you with something she already said. She wasn't even subtle about what she was doing. She was prideful about how great of a debater she was. She thought this childish and disrespectful crap actually made her strong and respectable. I don't think she ever realized that she didn't actually win any arguments, but simply wore the other person down until they gave up on a constructive adult conversation with her. I know someone who legitimately stood up in the middle of a meeting about her child abuse in the child protection offices and yelled at everyone the child deserved to be stabbed because she knew not to play Operation so loud. At that moment, in reality, there wasn't anything I, the child protection officer, her boyfriend, brother and sister, or the grandparent or father could say to her. I don't think there are the words in existence appropriate for that situation. I could only say, couldn't help myself. What the actual fuck? Similar. I had a teenager bruised head to toe with strangulation marks. Parents adamant she should have given them her social media passwords. It's very rare for someone to win a political or philosophical argument in the moment. Most wins come later, when the information you shared or learned meets a slightly different context in a different moment and begins to make sense, even if you don't necessarily tie that epiphany back to any specific interaction, or even if there is no epiphany moment, just a slow evolution of view. Ah, yes, I call this the crab hammer method. You can't conquer someone like they're a boss in a video game. You can only give them a bonk with a little wooden mallet and hope the crack it forms is the basis for future change. Oh man, I worked retail for the past 12 years and only recently have I experienced the ultimate low IMO. This woman paid us to service her e-bike. I've been a bicycle mechanic for the past 12 years. So she could grant it to her son or neighbor or whatever, I don't know, doesn't really matter anymore anyway. So we did, serviced it good, 2 people tested before she gets the invoice and notified her bike is ready. She comes and picks it up, and that should be that. The next day, she arrives at our shop near closing, starts a fit with me, saying how we didn't do a good job. So I asked her what the problem was. Apparently, she can't discharge her battery's lock anymore. This type of bike only has an electrical operated lock. I told her I was sorry to hear that, since that would basically mean the controller driver brain of the bike is malfunctioning. The only thing we're allowed to do is send that to a manufacturer to get it tested, possibly repaired, or maybe replaced. If a replacement is needed, that's a €250 plus fix. She didn't like that, and I can blame her for that cause I wouldn't either. But she started blaming us. We didn't check the part, we updated the bike which probably ruined the part, you name it. I told her the timing is terrible, but if this happens, there's nothing anyone could have done. Do note, this was a near 10-year-old part from a time where e-bike life expectancy was around 5 years. I told her that calmly. She refused to believe me, then demanded to speak to someone higher up, which is funny since I'm the first manager apart from my boss CEO. I told her to pick it up with him. My boss was on the same floor with another customer. Pointed it to him, told her he'd be there shortly, and I left the shop floor. She started talking to my boss, and at some point she lowered her voice a bit. My boss did the same. Later, my boss told me she had a complaint about me. Her complaint was that I was too civil and verging on being emotionless. So I was too good at my job, apparently. I told my boss I'll explode with rage or cry my soul out next time she has a complaint with me. Not my story, but once my friend A, was having a friendly turned sour debate with another friend B, about how sometimes people just don't have a choice in the context of they can just choose to live a frivolous life because of their family background, etc. Friend A proceeds to say, "What's about starving children born in Africa? It's not like they had a choice." To which friend B answered, "Who asks them to be born in Africa? Just don't be born there." That's when we knew. Social media debates. You won't convince someone they're wrong. You're screaming at a brick wall. When I tell people to just reboot your computer and it will fix all their problems, and yet they won't because they said if you wait long enough it will shut down, when in reality it only goes to sleep. Then when I tell them they have to completely shut it down, they look at me like I'm an idiot and say they did. I tell them it seems like it, but it only went to sleep. They argue back. R. I've come to learn to ask, okay, so you are more knowledgeable on computers and solutions for them than me. So why did you call me? Just tell them the issue is caused by a buildup of static in their desktop's power cord, and they need to unplug it and whack it against the ground to discharge all the static. Doesn't help with laptops, obviously.